maybe we can get settled. It's a sign of the times of how interested folks are in volunteering their services to be on committees and boards in town, and the interest of town members coming in to learn a little bit more about them. So I was up for a run this morning, and I was just thinking before introducing Sandy, I wanted to say a few words. We had to meet the candidates last year that didn't go as smoothly as previous years. And my hope and expectation is that we are going to bring that idea of a quaint town of Bellingham to the level of communication with other people. We're going to bring it down. We're going to show Bellingham how quaint and what a small town feel is by being kind to each other today. Let's try that. So we've got all the candidates are ready to go. Sandy is moderating for us. Let's, in that spirit of kindness, let's enjoy getting to know the candidates. Let's enjoy having an open mind. And maybe not think about grilling anybody, but asking genuine questions in the spirit of trying to get to know people, because that's what this is all about. This is a showing of appreciation of the service that these people do for the community. So let's keep that in mind and open our hearts a little bit today. Sandy.
Okay, thank you. So, welcome everyone. Wow, this is great turnout. Okay, so what we're going to start with is give you guys all a chance to hear from our candidates. They're all going to introduce themselves. I'll give you we'll move through each section, and after everyone has introduced themselves, then we'll go to questions. And just to let you know ahead of time, have your question ready. I'm going to ask that when you ask your question, you get right to the point of the question. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next question, okay? So first of all, we're going to hear from our select board candidates. And we have Michael Connor and Cody Spencer. So we'll first hear from Michael and then Cody, and then we'll move to the next one. So Michael.
Michael, turn the microphone on. There's a little on button.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
There you go.
So just wanted to remind our candidates, you have 5 minutes to introduce yourself. And we do have a timer who will give you a little 1 minute warning. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As was introduced, my name is Michael Connor. I'm a 30-year resident of Bellingham. I would like to thank Josie for hosting today. Josie, thank you very much. Oddly enough, I'm supposed to be in 2 different places this morning. The Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association is having a girls and women in sports event today, and we have 2 seniors in the class of 25 that are being honored, and I'm meeting their moms at Gillette Stadium. It's supposed to be at 9:30, so I'm going to be a little late, so I will have to leave a bit earlier than planned. Today is a job interview, and you're the hiring manager. It's how I'm approaching this discussion with you and how you should approach it as well. I'd like to think that the process should be looked at holistically for a moment. We have 8 positions that the town is looking for, but only 4 positions have more applicants than we have openings. Select board, town clerk, planning board, housing authority have more people applying for the job than there are positions, and there are other positions that they've already got the job. So what is the job description to be in any of these positions? What are the requirements? And oddly enough, there's 2. Be a Bellingham resident and get 50 signatures. And I'm not sure that that makes you qualified, but that's what allows you to get the job. So I've hired hundreds of people in my career in both the private and public sector. I regularly hire coaches, and I always have a document that has about 20 or 25 questions, and depending on how the interview goes, I'll try to ask 5 or 6 of them. If it's a really bad interview, I'll end it as quickly as possible, and if it's worth it, we'll have a longer in-depth to answer the questions that I need answered. And I think the second part of today when you get to ask those questions. That's the second part. So let's keep it simple and let's ask 4 questions. Why do you want the job? What are your qualifications? I usually say walk me through your resume. What are your strengths and weaknesses? And if I called your references, what would they say and why are they relevant? So if I can answer those 4 questions for you, I think that should tell you everything about me in my opinion. But I'm sure you'll have other questions. Why do you want the job? I like being on the Board of Selectmen. I like being on the Select Board. Changed its name. I've met some extraordinary people. It becomes part of you. I've gone to 400 plus meetings, and my wife is not a big fan of it sometimes. Maybe she wants me out of the house, but I enjoy doing it. People have hobbies. This is my hobby. I like being engaged. I like numbers. I'm a numbers guy by heart, be it from the private sector and now. Simply speaking, I think I know the budget about as well as most people in the town could. What are your qualifications? From 2009 to 2024, I was elected 6 times, and each time, I never asked for any money, never really spent any money, and that's why I lost last year, I think. I didn't spend any money. I'm not a big fan of asking people for money because I think sometimes you become beholden to them. I've turned down some money for this election. I've spent $1,300 for this election, and I spent $89 in 2009, and in between I didn't spend a dime. I rely on my reputation and what I've done for the town, and I think I've done a pretty good job. So, when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, I think I'm fairly open-minded, I am approachable, and I know the budget. Let's face it, what does the Board of Selectmen or the Select Board do? They set the budget, address items on the warrant, and they make sure that we adhere to the bylaws. It's pretty straightforward. If it comes before the board, we listen to the issues and we go forward. But the biggest thing we do is spend money. We're talking almost $80 million. I have a background in finance. I have an MBA in investments and financial services. I spent 25 years in corporate finance, managing director of a company called ComputerShare and Equiserve back in the day, senior vice president of national sales for 2 companies. I'm actually going to leave my resume with Josie. If I applied for a job, this is what I'd sent. I started my own business as I was transitioning to become an athletic director as a consultant, and for the last 9 years I have the privilege of being the athletic director at Bellingham High School. It is the greatest job I've had in my career working with the kids. So, time? I'm sorry. All right. Can I have 10 more seconds?
Why not?
I want you to talk to my references. My references are the DPW director, the 2 chiefs of police, the senior senate director, Dennis Frame, the superintendent of schools, and the chairman of the school committee. I haven't asked them for endorsement. You should. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is not going to be nearly as impressive as Michael's history, but 32-year-old lifelong resident of Bellingham, Massachusetts, raising my own family here now. Spoken with a lot of you before, a lot of the seniors, and I just want to be somebody that you guys can come to and express your issues, and somebody on the board to be a voice for the residents of town. I started getting interested in possibly running for this position as I started showing up to meetings a few years back. The process interested me. It's just something that I feel like my heart is telling me I need to do. It's something that's drawn me to it. I don't have any impressive financial background or anything. Everyone has to start learning the budget at some point, and I'm more than willing to learn anything. My background is myself. I'm a heavy equipment mechanic for National Grid. Problem solving on my own, that's my strong suit. And I'm excited to hopefully have the opportunity to do that for the town of Bellingham. This town's given me so much over my 32 years of living here. And I'm hoping that I can finally take an opportunity to give back to the town and do what's best to ensure Bellingham has a bright future. There's a lot of negativity that swirls around. I think we have to stop focusing on that. And we really need to look to see what we can do to improve the town for the future, make it a promising place for young families to grow up. I've spoken with a few people around town. They're excited to have a younger voice in the position, and they think it's a good change of pace, and that they're excited to see a younger person and younger generations getting involved and sitting on these boards and having a voice. And it's also gotten a lot of people my age riled up to get involved in these town elections and town meetings. So I think I'm going to keep it short and sweet and cut my time short and speak from the heart. That's all I have to say. All right?
Okay, now for town moderator, we have John.
At the end. Questions at the end.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Keeler, and I am running for town moderator here in Bellingham. For those who don't know me, I've been a lifelong resident of Bellingham. I've lived here my entire life, along with my 4 siblings. I am a graduate of Bellingham High School, graduating in 2019. Same place 3 of my siblings graduated as well. And my entire family has just very deep roots in Bellingham, and we take extreme pride calling Bellingham our home. And funny enough, actually just this week, I secured an apartment to maintain Bellingham as my home with my girlfriend, where we continue to hope that our roots will grow and we'll continue to build our life in this town of Bellingham. A little more about me. So after graduating from Bellingham in 2019, I attended Suffolk University, where I majored in legal studies and stayed very involved in many different community service initiatives, namely being the school's Center for Community Engagement, where they host a service day every year, bringing in partners from all around. I got to sit on the committee to plan the service day that year, which was just an eye-opening and amazing opportunity. After finishing up my studies at Suffolk, I began my law school studies at Western New England, which is what I am currently doing right now, where I've received many academic honors and served on the law review there, trying to stay as involved as possible every turn. The reasons I'm running for moderator is because, as I said, Bellingham is my home, and I really want to be involved and be invested into Bellingham's future any way I can. I hope to bring a steady, objective, and informed voice to our town meetings, and hope to run our meetings with the goal of being efficient, respectful, and really fostering an inclusive space for all residents that feel like their voices are heard. And beyond that, I really hope to uphold the town and state laws that govern the town meetings, making sure we're in full compliance at every turn, and making sure that everyone feels welcomed in our town meetings. Beyond moderating, this role does include making appointments for the town's finance committee. This is something that I would intend to approach with the utmost attention and care, recognizing the strong role they play in our town. I would not be looking for people that are simply looking for a line on their resume, but people who are really invested in Bellingham and Bellingham's future and really want to see this town grow and flourish into what it can be. I want people that reflect the character of Bellingham while also maintaining the financial discipline that has kept our town affordable all these years and continuing to just make Bellingham a desirable place for people to come to and for people like me who have stayed here to want to stay here for many years beyond. So I look forward to talking with more of you, getting to know you, and I hope to earn your trust and earn your vote to be your next town moderator. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our candidates for town clerk. We'll hear from Amy Bartoloni and then Suzanne Barton.
Definitely have to pull the microphone down after you. So I like what Michael said a lot about this being a job interview. I've been a 25-year resident of Bellingham. I live on Silver Lake. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I've raised my 3 kids here in Bellingham. A lot of you know me from my time at the town clerk's office, where I've been for the last 6 years. I started part-time in 2019. I was promoted to assistant town clerk, and I've been interim town clerk since Larry retired until the election, which is in 2 weeks, and can't come any quicker. Looking forward to getting that over with. So some of you might also know me because I've covered your events and meetings for the Bellingham Bulletin, where I worked for a few years before I worked at the clerk's office. Some of you actually come to the writers group that I have hosted with Marjorie Holman for the last 8 years. In my spare time, I wrote 8 books there, but more importantly, I helped other people write and publish their books, which I'm really proud of. One of my best accomplishments. I was on the Library Board of Trustees for 9 years. Long before that, I worked for the State Racing Commission in Boston, and I interned with Representative George Peterson at the state legislature, who actually owned a fish market, and I learned a lot about being humble from that. And long before that, I graduated summa cum laude from Bryant College with a degree in history combined with political science. So I have a long history of public service, but what I would really like to focus on is the town clerk position itself. There are a lot of things that the town clerk position does that you might not know about, and some things that you might know about. The vital records, I'm sure all of you have had to go through and get your real IDs, a lot of birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates. Much of that is done on a state system, but we do some of it in-house also. If we don't have the record that people are looking for, we know where to send people. We don't send people away without an answer. We're very good at helping people in the office. But with the real ID requirement coming along, it is very busy with that. Of course, we maintain the voter roll, something you guys all know that we do, which has also changed a lot in the last few years due to automatic voter registration. I don't know if you've heard that. When you go to the registry or you go to another state agency, you are automatically registered to vote unless you opt out, and it's a teeny tiny box to opt out. So we get all those in the office. So we're very busy processing those registrations that people don't necessarily come to you to register. They're all coming from state agencies, so we read them through, make sure there's not duplicates, make sure everything looks good. It is a full-time job in itself, and my office is an office of 2.5, but we make it work. Speaking of, election systems are also the other thing that we do. We had 4 elections last year, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Was a very busy year. Has changed a lot, elections since 2019. Who can tell me the biggest reason that elections changed since 2019? COVID in 2020. Started it, mail-in balloting started on a big scale in 2019, which we made work in 2019. It became more widespread and acceptable in 2024. That said, all the requirements are from the state. So we got the requirements, we made them work. In 2024, the state sent out those little postcards, you probably all got them. That came from the state, those didn't come from us. They got here about mid-February for a turnaround the second week of March. So I got them in, piles of them, 4,000 of them mid-February, processed them at a time where my partner, who is recording right now, got in a horrific accident. I was back and forth from the hospital inputting the ballots. We didn't miss one. We didn't miss one in the primary, we didn't miss one in the general. I'm really proud of the job we did. Again, with the staff of 2.5 and some senior volunteers. So at the end of this, maybe we can give those poll workers a big round of applause because they did so much. So to hurry up, election systems, to tick a few other things off, we also send out the census and maintain the census voter records, print the residence books, update the town's code online, it's called e-code, and the bylaws, maintain the dog license, process marriage paperwork. I also went out on my own, got my notary license, my justice of the peace license. As far as I know, I'm the only justice of the peace in Bellingham, and I can marry people at town hall. I'm definitely the only notary in town hall. So skipping ahead, since we only have 1 minute. In addition to being well-versed in all of those, after the elections, what I would like to do is purchase more clickers for town meeting. One of my poll workers let me know there's a grant available for accessible voting booths. I would like to look into that. I would like to look into what's called advanced processing and advanced opening of ballots, because as it is now, the mail-in ballots get brought to the polling place, not opened. There is a method by the state which you can open them at a central processing facility, tag them in, bring them to the polls, makes things a lot easier. I would like to look into doing that next time. I'd like to look into taking credit cards at the office, and I just heard that there is a method for returning your census online, and I would like to look at that. So how did I do? Hey, now
morning, everyone. My name is Sue Garten, or on the ballot it's Suzanne Garten, and I'm running for town clerk. I have lived in Bellingham for almost 20 years with my husband John and my 3 children. During that time, I have been very active in the community. I was Macy PTO president and treasurer. I was on the library trustees for 12 years, 8 of them as chair. I was a board of registrar for 8 years, and for the last 3 years, I've been a poll worker. I have extensive experience with local, state, and federal elections going back more than 10 years. I am the faith formation coordinator at St. Blaise for 4 years, and I have been working in the school system for 16 years. And during that time, I have a great experience of seeing those children that were in preschool in my class when they were 4 years old coming and voting for the first time, and for me to be able to help them vote and do the whole voting process and explain it from start to finish, which has made me so proud of them when they do come through. I am running because I believe it is time for a new voice and a new vision in the town clerk's office. Specifically, I would like to see us go beyond what is just required and be more proactive by partnering with schools, senior center, and many organizations within town. I also believe we should meet the residents where they are, for me, I would like to open evening hours at the town hall, and I would also like to make small how-to videos for those residents to help them learn how to register to vote, or fill out a census, or even get a dog license. We are living in an age of technology, and we must utilize everything that is available to us, like YouTube, and to reach residents of all ages and all backgrounds. Now, choosing someone new like myself can bring a fresh perspective, energy, and ideas to the table. I can offer the advantage of thinking outside of the box and identifying potential areas for improvement that others may have overlooked. I'm eager to bring a strong work ethic to the table, and I believe this and my ability to adapt can help drive the office forward in new and exciting ways. And ultimately, it's about balancing experience with a fresh approach for progress. Now, I have my flyers in front of you. Some of them are rolled up. They're attached to cranberry oatmeal cookies, so feel free to have them. They're actually called boggles, but they're one of my favorite recipes to make. And thank you very much. Have a great day.
Sorry, I need my reading glasses. Next, we have the position of constable. There's actually 4 positions available. And we have William Roberts and William Payne. I believe, is it just William Roberts that's here? Go ahead. Thank you.
I look around here, I see some parents that and grandchildren are here also. Oh, okay, I can't speak loud enough. Okay, I had my wife get hearing aids. She does hear now. So please understand, no secrets from Suni now. But anyways, now that I've got my better half marked in the ballot book here to say that she's a good friend of mine, I am William L. Roberts Sr. I do not have a large speech. I am running for Constable of the town of Bellingham, which fortunately, for me, there's only 2 of us running. Unfortunately for the town, you need more than that. More people have to be involved with the constable or any other position within the town. Since you are here, you are involved. More people have to step across the line. I have been involved with the town of Bellingham since 1978. That's the time I moved into town. I'm very proud of it. I try to exist with the town, try to do more things than what people understand. And so I have taken over coaching in town. Not taken over, but I've served my time. Some of the young men, young ladies have gone a long way, not because of my guidance, because of the parents' guidance, with our dictating or suggesting which direction they should send their child. I can only speak very highly of the parents to a certain extent. The children have to observe and have to accept it. I won't get on my normal speech or get on my normal podium about children. I see ex-players, ex-students of the town at one of our local businesses every Friday night. And they always come over and say, "Hello, Coach." So that's nice to hear. But we always go over, we reminisce, and it shows how much they did pay attention when they came through our systems. So the coaches that are involved with the children as well have done a lot of good. Getting back to the constable job, yes, I'm here. I've been a constable in this great town for 9 years. I have served many papers, some for arrest, some for asking them to leave the presence of their residency, other ones, unfortunately, having a divorce. Some of them were kids that I trained, I shook hands with, I saw their parents before and after the papers being served. It's not an easy job. Sometimes they get a little upset. But be honest with yourself, society has changed. A constable is not there to wear a bulletproof vest every time you walk up to a door. That's a law enforcement position because they are part of the court system. They are part of this town. The law enforcement people you have in town are fantastic. They keep on growing, not just in size. But they are excellent, well-mannered young men and ladies. So that's the best I can tell you. I can brag about the town all day long. So I will leave it at that.
Okay.
You have a good day. I'll be sitting here waiting for any questions.
Okay, we have also the position of library trustee. Is Lindsay, I don't think Lindsay's here. Lindsay Resto is running. Okay. Then we have planning board. This position is you vote for 2, and we have 3 people running. We have Philip Devine, we have Brian Hall, and Martin Roche. So we'll go in that order. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to also thank the staff here for hosting us today. Really appreciate all the work you did to prepare for this and host us all. So, my name is Phil Devine. I've served on the planning board for the last 8 years. The first 2 years was an associate, which was a learning position where you got to sit and listen and learn. The planning board's a position where experience matters, and it matters because we've got high-powered attorneys coming in, we've got engineers that come in and representing projects that come in front of us. And part of that is being able to take a look at the bylaws, which govern what we do, and apply them. And it's the experience that comes into place when it's time to make a decision. And the decisions are based upon the bylaws. Now, some people may call that a checkbox. I don't, because one of those things is basically, for example, a detention basin around a fence around a detention basin. If you don't have that fence, you might have somebody drown. So I don't consider it a checkbox list. I consider it something that I take important, and I've enjoyed serving the town for the last 8 years. I got involved back in 2017 when I had a project that went in right next to me. I lived next to a horse farm. There was actually a horse pasture right next to me. And I got noticed and showed up, and I didn't know what the process was. I didn't know how to handle it, and I didn't know who to talk to. And that experience for me, it took me over a year to get up to speed. The project was approved back in 2018, but it always made me think about watching out for the little guy. I'm watching out for the town resident who doesn't know the process, who doesn't know town government, who doesn't know who to talk to. And those are the ones that, you know, I particularly care for. Now, all the projects that come in front of us have to go through a vetting process where we look at the bylaws, we look at the state laws that are applied, and that's what the criteria is. But we always want to make sure that we look out for the town residents, and I certainly do that. At this point, you know, I was asked your references. So at this point, I've got, in 2018, we've got a polarized, 2025, let's flash back there. We've got a polarized national situation here, but Bellingham in this position here, the planning board is a nonpartisan position, okay? It's a position that what's good for the town is what we need to do. And that's where I come from. So I'll tell you, you know, I've got 2 endorsements. Number 1 is the state rep who's back here, who's endorsed me, and he's the Republican side. And I also got the town Democrats who are also endorsing me. So I'm building a coalition that goes both ways, one side to the other. This job is not a partisan job. It's not supposed to be on or political. It's about what's good for Bellingham, and that's where I come from. And I want to thank you for your time, and that's what I've got to say today. So thank you.
Okay, thanks for having me. Don't have anything prepared or scripted. I'd like to think that I'm authentic. My name's Brian Hall. I've lived in town for 29 years. I'm 61. I grew up in Quincy, and I moved here, raised my 2 kids here. I was very active in sports. I coached baseball, softball, helped with Steve Linehan getting the lacrosse program together. I helped coach wrestling, so I've invested a lot of time in the community in that sense. When I first moved here, my first kind of introduction to planning boards and residents getting involved in things was when EMC had a big proposal for, I forget how many it was, but it was 600, 700 person campus off of High Street. And that didn't go over very well with a lot of the residents. I got involved, and they ended up withdrawing that project. So that was kind of my first introduction to that, and then I kind of laid low for a while. I started a business in 2006, Threads Unlimited. Nobody gave me that. I'm an entrepreneur. I started that from scratch, and I built it to what it is today. So I'm 19 years into that, and I'm starting a second business. So the qualifications it takes and what I've learned in starting a business and dealing with all of the things that come up that you have to handle on your own. And you become very resilient, and you become very determined and disciplined. And I think that's a quality that we need in the planning board, the ability to push back. And I don't think we've seen that enough, in my opinion, in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We've seen the town have a lot of projects come on board very quickly, and it's industrialized the look and feel, in my opinion, of the north end of town to the degree that a lot of people are complaining about it. It's not just me complaining. It was so bad, it took someone like Steve Goyette to get the initiative to get behind the warehouse moratorium, and we were told you'll never get that passed, and it passed overwhelmingly. So I understand the power of the people, and that's really what I'm speaking for, is the residents. I just think that it's time for a change. I don't mean any disrespect to the current planning board members, but they've been there. Some of these people have been there a long time, and I just am unhappy with the way things have rolled out. The last straw for me was the big warehouse on Maple Street. I don't think anyone's happy about that. And I'm not against development. I own a business. I get it. If you own land, you should be able to develop it. And there is something to be said about the bylaws and checking boxes, and I get all that, but I don't think anyone has really pushed back enough to some of these developers. And I feel that they come in and they feel entitled, and in many ways they think they're going to get what they're going to get, and they do get it. And I just think it's time for some new blood in there. I don't have all the answers, but I will push back, and no one's going to tell me what to do, and I don't answer to anybody. So That's why I'm running. I know a lot of you maybe have your minds already made up, and that's fine. But if you don't, I would like you to just consider it. I'm not hard to find. I post a lot of things on social media. It is what it is. I'm not afraid to say what I feel, and that's why I'm looking for your vote.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On the ballot, I'm Martin David Rhodes Jr. They asked for the official name, so I put it down on the application. I'm a 32-year resident of Bellingham. I grew up in Medway and moved here because it's a nice, small hometown feel. And that's why I came here 32 years ago. When I got here, I live in the Crystal Springs Townhouse Association, and I got on the board. I've been on the planning board for 30 years in the Art Association. I have a background in project management. I've been a project manager for over 25 years. I know how process and procedure are supposed to go. That's why I'm running for the planning board. I've had some problems with the planning board. Personally, in the past, I was trying to develop Crystal Springs. We wanted to add 21 more units. We fought with the planning board. Successfully, we built 21 additional units, basically about $3,700 a year in taxes, and there's almost no constraint against the town because there's not a lot of children that live there to two-bedroom condos. So it's, I understand the process and what needs to go through. You have to make sure zoning is there. After the zoning, you have to have the Conservation Commission go through that. You have to have DPW sign off on it. You have to have public safety, fire and police going through the development plan. All of these items have to be seen on any project that's coming forward in the town. Towns will always develop. You cannot stop development in its entirety. What you have to do is ensure that any plan that's put in front of the planning board has everything taken care of. All considerations are gone through. Everything is being looked at for each of the individuals. Some of you guys may have seen me very recently going to a lot of the planning board meetings and the select board meetings. I've gotten involved, my family life situation changed, so I was able to now get involved in the town. And again, it's 32 years, I love the town, I've decided to stay, and I'll probably retire here and probably be buried here. But this is why I'm running, is to ensure that this town still has the feel of the town, but that the voice of the people are also heard. Sorry, I'm a little off key tonight, but anyone that has any questions for me, please feel free to ask. I think my resume is pretty solid in terms of being a project manager, and I understand the process. So I look forward to your vote on June 3rd, and I hope that I can represent the town and the community on the planning board to ensure that everything goes through properly. Thank you.
So then we have our school committee, you vote for 2, and we have Jennifer Altamonte and Michael Reed running, and Jennifer is not here.
Good morning, everyone. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you all today, and thank you to the Senior Center for putting on this great event. I came this morning, even though there's only 2 people running for 2 spots, so you could have suggested we're unopposed, because I thought it'd be a good opportunity to make a little bit more connection with the community. You know, there's certainly some challenges going on with our school budget and with society in general, and some things that are going on. And I just wanted to make sure that you know who I am, okay, and that I'm available to address questions, concerns at any time. And also want to take a chance to take an opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself and a little bit about what's going on in the school district. Some things that we're really proud of and some things that need some work. And that's why I'm running for school committee again, is because there's still some work to do. My name, as I said before, my name is Mike Reed. I've been a lifelong resident, literally, of Bellingham. Okay, born and raised here, went through the public schools here with my sister, and graduated from Bellingham High School. Left Bellingham, went on to college, went to law school, and got a job as a trial attorney with the Allstate Insurance Company, and I've been doing that for over 35 years. I now manage a small litigation office for Allstate based out of Massachusetts, and so we manage litigation all over the state. So I've enjoyed that. I've been on the school committee for 12 years. I'm trying to be on for 15 years. I've enjoyed it. Someone said before, too, that it's important to them, being on a committee, and I've found that it is important to me. And I realized, as I was listening to remarks today, why. People like John Keeler is why it's important to me. Okay, John is a kid that went through our public school system, went to college, did great, went to law school. I mean, last time I was really in close proximity to John, I was probably rolling him ground balls. Okay, and now I look forward to going to some podunk courthouse in Western Massachusetts and walking into an accounting room. Okay, because that's the opportunities that this town provides to our students and to great kids like John that are willing to embrace them and take them and work hard, and that our families are willing to embrace and take and work hard. I have 3 kids as well, one of which graduated with John. All 3 went through the Bellingham school system all the way from kindergarten through graduation. They're all now out of the house and working and successful. My wife is also a Bellingham High School graduate as well. And so we met in accounting class with Mrs. Gray at Bellingham High School. In the 12 years that I've been on the school committee, I think that we've accomplished a lot. As I said, is there more to do? Are there opportunity areas? Certainly, I'd be the first one to admit. But we've dealt and we've worked through some difficult situations as well. Each and every year it's a challenge to build a budget to provide our students and our faculty with the resources that they need to be successful. And that's however you define successful. Whether that means going on to a 2-year or a 4-year college, or leaving our schools and going right into the workforce, or in pursuing some type of trade, or going into the military. You know, all those things. We do the best that we can each and every year to build a budget with the resources we have to make those opportunities available. And I think that we have. And despite our challenges and our opportunity areas where we need to improve, I encourage you all to come on June 4th, 6 o'clock. We have our senior class night. Okay? That's where we gather our seniors together and give out awards and recognize them just 2 days before graduation. And when you do that, I find that to be one of the most rewarding nights in my service on school committee, because we see kids like John, and we see where they're going, and we see what they've accomplished, and we see the amazing amounts of scholarships and opportunities and grants that they receive from people outside of Bellingham and within Bellingham to pursue their dreams, to pursue their education. And it will make you proud, I guarantee. Each and every year it makes me proud, and I assure you that it will make you all proud as well. So I would urge you to come. I think that you'll enjoy it. Oh, that was fast, okay. My wife said I can't say hello in 5 minutes, so. Things that we've dealt with that I've helped lead through, working with our town, COVID. COVID was a challenge for our schools. It was hard, and we worked together and we got through it. We're still dealing with the effects of it. There's more work to be done, and I look forward to it. The explosion of social and emotional issues facing our children and their families has been a challenge for our school, and finding the resources to help support our families in that. The dramatic increase in costs, especially of those in special education and in transportation, have been a challenge for our committee, but we've worked through them, again, with our great leadership and with our leadership here in town. As chairman, I've represented our school committee through several rounds of negotiations with our unions to create fair deals with our teachers and with our ASME employees to provide them with the resources they need and the opportunities and the reasons to stay here in Bellingham and teach. We've also developed, one other thing I wanted to, and I may go a little long, I apologize in advance, wanted to tell you about 2 great opportunities that are going on in our high school right now. We have an amazing internship program. Come Thursday morning to the high school and see our showcase about our internships. Our students are going out into the workforce before even they've graduated to work and get real world experience. We've also had an amazing, just 30 more seconds I promise. We have an amazing career pathways set up at the high school, okay, where students can have a concentration in their area of studies to help them learn about manufacturing, help them learn about computer design, help them learn about communications in the humanities, and help them shape their future and make decisions about where they want to go for school and where they want to go for work. I'm proud of these programs. I'm proud of the work we've done. We have challenges. We have more work to do, and I'd like your support in order to do that again for 3 more years. So thank you.
We also have 2 people running for Housing Authority, which is voting for one, and we have Christopher Remillard and Lauren Cartier, which neither one here? No. All right. Okay, so what we'll do now is move to our question and answer period. And I'll just let you know the way we're going to handle that. If you raise your hand, I'll be coming around, give you the opportunity to ask your question. I'm really requesting that you ask a question now as opposed to making statements. We want to get to everybody's questions. If you are not getting to the point of your question, I'll remind you, and if you still don't, I'll move on. Because we want to make sure people get to ask their questions. The candidates then answering will have 2 minutes to answer their question, and we'll work on being precise in our answers. So you have 2 minutes to answer, and then we'll call time, and I'll move on to the next question. Okay? So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and I will come around and let you ask.
That's okay.
I have a question or two for Amy and one for Susan. A lot of moving parts to my question and some history. So
I'm sorry, you're going to have to get to the question, okay?
Okay. Last year, a candidate for select board unfortunately died in a car crash. His name remained on the ballot. It was too late to change that. The town clerk's office and the leadership team there had one opportunity to publicize his death, either by a robocall to the town, an announcement in the newspapers, the Bulletin or the Daily News. Yeah, and they could have put a sign up in town hall. The question is, there was silence on this man's passing, and many voters went to the polls not knowing that he was deceased, and he got 400 plus votes. My question for Amy, or a question or two, you were the assistant town clerk last year, second in command, very much a part of the leadership team. Do you regret remaining silent about that situation, and do you think it was the right thing to do to remain silent?
I can. So first I want to say that last year was awful. It was awful here, it was awful going forward, and we did lose someone, and personal problems aside, it was terrible. But going forward, what I would say is, firstly, as a municipal employee, you are bound by contractual obligations to communicate in a way that is okay with the Human Resources and the Secretary of State. So what I will say to you going forward is what I can answer going forward. No one has ever accused me of under-communicating. Part of what I would like to do is, we do have a town Facebook page, so when I need to get things out, I forward things to the town Facebook page. I don't know if it existed then, but that wasn't something that I was communicating with. Secondly,
Do you think it was the right thing?
I'm getting there. Secondly, what I would do in that situation is follow the advice of the Secretary of State and follow the advice of the Attorney General, which I've been in communication with this whole election to make sure that everything here has been going the way that it should. So I'm proud of the way that I handled myself last year. I think going forward in that situation, I probably would publicize what the Secretary of State or the Attorney General said, because like I said, we are in communication with them. I can't speak to what other people did or what other people said. I was in the position that I was in, other people were in the position that they were in. I was, like I said, it was awful, I was under a lot of stress, but I personally, yes, I feel like I did okay. And going forward, I would absolutely follow the advice of the
That it was
Secretary.
right for the office, for the leadership team to remain silent.
So,
Was that the right thing to do?
you say leadership team, but, like I said, I was under municipal contract, so that's me. What I would do going forward is I would publicize what the Secretary of State says. As we are beholden to the Secretary of State and Attorney General, and as far as I know, they weighed in, and the rules that they weighed in were followed. And any other questions about that are going to have to go backwards to ask the people about it, but as far as I know, that's the rules that were followed for the Secretary of State and the Attorney General, and I followed the rules for
If it happened again
Okay,
today,
thank
would you
I think
do something
she's answered the question.
Yeah, I would publicize what the Secretary of State said. Like I said, I'm in constant contact with them now.
Thank you very much.
So-
We'll go to other questions, and then we can come back to another one of yours, okay?
I have a question for Phil. What is the position of the planning board on the new proposed development at the New England golf course, the enlarged development?
Thanks for the question. So we had our first meeting with the applicant back on March 27th. And during that meeting, I listed, and you can go to 2 minutes and 36 seconds in the town video, it's on the town website. And it lists a lot of concerns. I went on for 9 minutes about the concerns I had. Things like, we've got seniors down on Rentham Street that go up to CVS and walk up there. The other piece I'm going to say first, as a planning board person, we have to wait for all the evidence to come in before making a final decision. So I'll put that on there. Now, because I made public statements in a public meeting, which was the town planning board meeting, I'll repeat those things, which I think is fair game, okay? Won't go into other situations, but I had concerns about traffic. They were trying to put down a new traffic light right where there would be a lot of water. You had the seniors that were walking to down there. You've got water situations with rivers coming through. I commented on that. I commented on the fact that, geez, we just had a 2.5 override to get more paramedics. I thank the chief for that, for spearheading that with a lot of other people. He was sitting in the crowd. I commented the fact that you can't have a project come in and put burdens on the town and the taxpayers on the town. Now, a 55 and over facility is a great thing. I think having more housing for 55 and over crowd is a good thing overall. However, you can't put in something that's overburdened on the town. Okay, you can't put something in there that's going to, and the 55 and over, whether it's going to be for, and I commented in the meeting, so I'm going to use what I said there, so I'm not out of bounds. 2 minutes? Okay, so basically I went on for 9 minutes there, it's on the video, but a lot of concerns. We're again at the high school, first time we've been to the high school for an event on the planning board, and there's a lot of concerns, and I'll just phrase it like that. Too many resources for the town, for example, the EMTs, and can't ask the town residents to do a 2.5 override because a project comes in and puts a burden on the town. And that's what the planning board will talk about, and whether we get to that this time around, there's 9 minutes, and please feel free to pull the video from March 27th, go to 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and you'll see 9 minutes of my concerns at that meeting.
Phil, there's a meeting this Thursday.
This Thursday, there's a meeting at the high school. We won't get to all the topics. This project's going to go for at least a year, I would assume, unless they come in and pull back. But one of the things you can't do as a planning board member is put hard no out on the internet, because then you've biased yourself, and if they come in and withdraw from it and then come back, you can't vote on it. So there's an issue there where there's candidates who have gone and actually gone on the internet and made statements. outside of planning board meetings, not the planning board meetings themselves. You can't do that as a planning board meeting, because then you just biased yourself and you won't be able to vote, and then what happens is you end up in land court and they basically throw the whole thing out with any mitigation and everything, and they get to do what they want to do. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Was there another question back here?
Thank you, sir. A question for the two candidates for selectmen. First, if we were to build a new school, for example, would you finance that proposal with a 2.5 override, a debt exclusion, or some other method? I'm curious which is the best option. That's for both, and then I have one more.
I'd like to think that's an easy answer. So it would be a debt exclusion, because when you look at your taxes, if the financing for a large project, be it to finance a fire engine or to put a building in place, you look at the useful life of the project, you request a debt exclusion within the constraints of your debt limits, and at the end of the 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years of the school project, your taxes would roll back to where they were previously, because you did it as a debt exclusion. You basically pay for it over the 30 years, and then at the end of that, it's not part of your municipal budget. We have reserves in place to pay interest and other factors, but in the grand scheme of things, I think that's the only way to do it.
Wait, the other.
I'm not going to stand here and posture like I know all the answers to everything. It sounds like Michael has experience knowing that, so my idea in that situation would be to speak to other board members and decide what's going to be best for the residents of this town, whether it be a debt exclusion or a 2.5 override. My hope is that we don't have to ask for another 2.5 override, so I look for any avenue but that, because I'm not interested in putting more tax burden on residents, especially seniors, who will be on a fixed income, and as a taxpayer in town myself.
While you're up there, Mr. Spencer, I'll ask you the second question. Maybe Mr. Connor can kick in afterwards. In November, if you're elected, the select board will be voting on the tax rate for residential construction of residential homes and for commercial. What numbers would you use, and which segment would you give a lower rate to?
Can you clarify a little bit? Maybe I don't understand your question, because...
Well, there's two tax rates in town.
Okay.
Residential and commercial. Okay? And the select board usually alters, they'll give one a break one year and they make it go a little easier on residential next.
Right.
The residential tax rate, do you know what it is?
It's, no, I'm not familiar with the number.
Do you know what the commercial tax rate is?
No, but I personally would probably look towards more of a commercial increase instead of putting it, again, like I said, I'm not interested.
Let me educate you.
Yep.
The residential rate is $12.56.
We'll let him answer his question, and then the other,
The commercial rate is $19.43. It's the difference between 12 and 19.
I think we could look at, maybe, we've had a lot of commercial growth in town over the last few years. So I think we could look at possibly increasing the commercial rate more versus, as I said previously, putting the burden on taxpayers and town residents who have lived here for a very long time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll let him answer that question, and then you get your question.
Okay, just the split tax rate. So Bellingham had established a split tax rate many, many years ago, because the increases in property value between residential homes and industry was disproportionate, and that's why a split tax rate exists. Effectively, businesses pay more money than residents. Why that's important, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but in 2014, 16, and 19, the town adjusted rates for water, sewer, and trash, and the DPW has been undertaking a 12 to 18 month review of those costs. All of those costs are going to go up. There's no doubt about it. If something rates were set in 2014, they are bound to increase. The select board's responsibility is to make sure that it's not a burden on one factor or another. So in about 30 seconds, I can give you a quick education on why your rates may or may not go up as much as you thought. A Home Depot, an Amazon, or someone else does not use as much water because they don't take showers, they don't use washing machines, they don't use dishwashers. The Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, has the ability to modify property taxes so that some of those funds can be diverted to pay for water, sewer, and trash. If nothing is done and we just apply water, sewer, and trash to the users, then the warehouses will pay a disproportionately lower amount because they have their own dumpsters. And the board has the ability to mitigate those using the split tax rate to effectively put more tax or more rates for water, sewer, and trash on the business. The split tax rate is good for Bellingham. Not all communities have it. I think that addresses some of your concerns.
Thank you. Stay there. I have two questions for Selectmen. The first one is for you, and the second one is for both of you.
Okay.
Roads.
Yep.
I've been here 43 years, and I haven't been able to make any kind of sense of how we do roads in this town. And I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, you did Scott Hill Boulevard all the way down to Lake Shore Drive. Then you went to the right on Lake Shore Drive all the way to Blackstone Town Line. That was 3 years ago. You still haven't gone to the left on Lake Shore Drive. And that road is in horrible shape.
Sure.
But you still haven't done that. This is 3 years.
So,
It doesn't make any sense.
well, actually, I mean, I can explain why that happens. So everyone pays on their water and sewer bills the capital charge. So that capital charge was put in place maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. And its goal is to have about $1 million to $2 million. When you replace a road, the goal is to replace water and sewer simultaneously. So the recommendation is the town has a the town has a roads committee. Roland Laviolette and several other people, a member of the Board of Selectmen and the Select Board, are on it every year, and they make determinations how to spend the money. We need $50 million to fix all the roads in town. We have less than $2 million, and every so often the town will do a town meeting warrant for about $5 million to build it up. It's still a 90% shortfall. So the advice that we get from the engineers is that you will pick Road A over Road B because you need to replace the water mains below Road A, and that's why some roads are selected over others. It makes far more sense that if you're going to repave a road that you replace the 50-year-old pipes first, and that's why some roads are selected over others.
Okay. Now this is for both of you.
Sure.
Those 4 questions you mentioned, those are good questions. Your background is interesting. My real question is, what is your plan for the future of the town?
Future?
What specific plans you have to improve the town, or other plans you might have?
Sure, we have some great stories to tell. So one, we've got the rate setting is most important. The union contracts between ASME, the teachers union, police and fire are all going to put a strain on this town, and we need to be creative. The first month that I'm back on the board, I would ask the CFO to provide us the projections for next year, because no board should make any decisions in August, September, October, November that can't be backed up by decisions on the budget in February, March, April, and May. You need to have a number. Second thing, one of the folks that came up and said, we need to communicate better. We send out bills on a quarterly basis to everyone. How simple is it to put a newsletter in? There's many people in this room that may or may not use email or the internet, but if you put a simple mailer about what's going on around town and directing them to where they found more information. Phil mentioned it, that on the town website is information about New England Country Club. So why not have a one-pager that we insert in every bill just to say, hey, go look here if you have this information. And beyond that, we are caretakers. Caretakers of the budget and what comes before us.
So you don't have any specific plans of what you'd like to see done?
Sure, I would like to see us maintain the lowest tax rate in Norfolk County for the last 30 years. I'd like to see us keep our AA+ bond rating, which is a sign of the finance of the town, and a host of other things. Because a lot of the things that come before the board are nonsense. You know, if I focused solely on the budget for the next year, that would be a major accomplishment.
Okay, thank you. And did you want to respond? Sure. Thank you.
So my plans, if I was to get on the board, would be to get out, speak with residents, see where everyone feels like we're going to be at. And like I said, he knows a lot about the budget. That's fair. I'm very interested in diving deep into the budget and learning possibly as much as I can about it and doing what's best for the residents in this town. Obviously raising a young family, schools, public safety, the condition of the town is paramount. I will nod my head to the lowest tax rate in town. I'm very proud of the work that the previous board members have done to maintain a low tax rate in Bellingham. We're one of the lowest in the area, and I'm sure a lot of you know that. As far as specific plans, it's hard to say, but like I said, I want to focus on making sure our schools are up to par and the town is safe and we're able to raise young families in town and continue making this a beautiful place to live.
So neither one of you, both of you have plans for maintaining things as they are, but you don't really have any plans for anything new.
I think they've responded. Thank you. Did we have other questions over here? I'm sorry.
Thank you. When I went to Bellingham High School, my parents didn't pay to put me on the school bus. My daughter's going to Bellingham High School and my nephew goes, you have to pay for the kid to be on the school bus. Can we try to do something to get rid of this fee? There are enough economic strains on young families as there is. And I don't think that sends a good message to how students and education are valued if we charge people to have their kid on the school bus.
Clearly, that's an important issue, and it was something that we didn't take lightly when we did it. Part of the problem with the busing system, right, is when we were looking at our transportation costs, they're dramatic, all right? So we're looking for ways to be cost-effective and efficient, right? And so part of the reason was for the bus fee, right, was so that we get some idea of people that actually, some commitment for people being on the bus, okay? Because we were monitoring too many buses and creating too many bus routes that come in half empty, and people aren't utilizing it. And so part of the commitment of creating a fee, and I realize that every dollar counts, right? But the fee, if my recollection serves me, is about $1 a day or less than that to use the bus during the school year. But that was to give us some idea of, okay, we can firmly expect, because this number of families have committed to using the bus, and so we can build effective routes around that. And the cost of an individual bus will shock you. You know, $50, $60, $80,000 to add a bus to our system. And so every time we can remove a bus from the system by being more efficient, limiting the stops. Maybe a few years ago, you might recall that we did a comprehensive review of where do we have stops? What's a safe amount of distance that a child in this day and age can be expected to walk from their home and be supervised at a bus stop by peers and family, right? What are people comfortable with, and where are their safe places? We looked at all of that. We didn't take it lightly. We realized that, like I said, that every dollar counts. But it was more so, it's not the money. We really don't generate a lot of money from it. And I think that every year, and every couple of years, we should look at it as to what value it has. But that was really the main driving force. It certainly doesn't fund the bus system at all. But it gives us some skin in the game from families, so they don't just sign up for the bus and then never use it. And now we're building a route with a half-empty bus. So that was really the intent. But I really do appreciate your concerns, and it truly is something that we should look at every year. So.
Concerning the bus routes, there's been an increase of people driving by buses while they're stopped picking up children. Will the committee look into that by possibly, like other communities, allowing cameras on the bus to take pictures of those who violate the stop?
I think we would certainly consider it. Again, it's part of the thing is we don't own the buses, right? So we'll be working with our vendor, which we already have a contract out, and it's already spelled out what services and technology they're required to provide in it. You know, it's certainly worth considering. I have to say that I haven't had a lot of direct complaints to me of safety issues, but we certainly take those very seriously. I'll be very, I know you're eager. You know, again, we have school resources officers. When we receive complaints like that, they give us a great liaison with the police department here in town to try to address those things. And if there was a particular stop where it was happening, we would certainly ask for law enforcement to be present at that stop to try to monitor it. But again, I'm open-minded to those things if we can do it in a cost-effective way, working with our vendor.
Yes, the question is if there's a contract with these providers, why can't that be put into the next contract?
Yeah, no, I was kind of like, we can't front load it because it's there, right? But we can certainly look at it, right, and see whether it's practical, see what the utilization is, and you know, I'm all ears, right? Like, are there other communities that are using them successfully that are catching people? Are our law enforcement, our officers in town seeing an uptick of it? I respect your comment, but I don't know it's not something that's come across my desk. Right? But certainly open-minded to look at it. So.
I don't know which gentleman or lady does this. To put in lights, who does that? Is it the planning board that approves lights, traffic lights?
Not unless there's a project that's going to be right in front of it. Like, for example, on Mechanic
I'm sorry,
Street.
could you please get up?
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to say it's not the planning board.
Pardon?
It's not the planning board.
Okay, so who does that?
Is it the select board or select board?
So is somebody,
we
excuse
get
me,
involved when
is there somebody from the select board here?
Yes.
Could I speak to that person?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, we're right behind you.
Would you mind coming up front, please?
I'm not running, I'm
No.
on the select board, but happy to answer your question.
Okay, I live at Depot Court,
Yes, ma'am.
and Representative Soder and the town, they did try to approve, they put a better crosswalk, they put up signs. All right, so you got elderly that cannot cross that street, no matter what you did.
I
Wait a minute.
completely agree.
So you got so many areas, you got the plaza coming out, you got the Dairy Queen coming out, you got that little shopping area, liquor store coming out, traffic coming. What's happening now, I've done this, you try to go across that crosswalk, which is very nice, right, and everything, cars are going around the cars that stop. I've seen it more times than this elderly lady with the walker, she says, 89 years old, I'm gonna start crossing over, because they'll stop. I said, no, they'll kill you. I said, you see what's happening, these cars stop, but there's other cars going around, and they are flying. They are flying, so we need a light there.
I completely agree with you, and I'm glad you raised that, because we need voices like yours at the select board to bring it up, because it has to be a 3/5 vote. We have to do a study, we have to look at the traffic, but I couldn't agree more. We have a light up there where, you know, by the bank. We have a blind spot coming over that hill when you're traveling on 126 coming over, and there's Depot Street. There needs to be flashing lights before the hill. There needs to be a light right there. There's no reason why we can't put a light there. So I couldn't agree more. So I just want to let everybody know, at every select board meeting, for the first 15 minutes, we have citizen input. If there's anything that you'd like to bring forward to the select board, we encourage you to reach out to our administrative assistant, Hillary, and get on the agenda. Bring items like this to the select board. The select board is here for you. You elect us for you. And it's important that we know your concerns. So please, we have a meeting coming up, get on the board, let the board know. I'll raise it, you have my word. It'll be on the next agenda.
You know that survey that we just filled out, that big survey?
Yes, ma'am.
A few of us where we live in there, we put that on there. Do they get back to you concerning that, or is that just a general thing?
We haven't seen, we'll see a summary. We won't see individual, but we'll see summaries. And what'll happen typically, when you do a survey, If it's just one comment, we may not see that, but if it's the same comment several times, that will definitely be brought to our attention. But I just want to reinforce that citizens at 15 minutes, and we'll extend it more than 15 minutes. If we have an outpouring of citizens that want to speak to the select board, we'll give more than 15 minutes. And that started, and Ann put that back on the agenda last year. We've only had 2 citizens, and it's been there for a year, and it's published. We've had 2 citizens in a year come forward to talk to us about certain items that concern them. So please, it is your forum.
Do you want to let everyone know when the next meeting is?
I don't have the date in the top of my head. It's, Ann, do you have?
Yeah, the Monday after Memorial.
Yeah, the Monday after Memorial Day. You're right. I think it's June 2nd. I believe off the top of my head it's June 2nd. So you call Hillary. Well, we're going to get it on the agenda anyway. I'm going to let her know today to please put that on the agenda for the select board to discuss. But we'll need to put in we'll need to pull in the DPW director and the state potentially, because all that stuff has to go through a process. Like the planning board, there's a process. Unfortunately, there's a process to everything, especially when government's concerned. And I just wanted to answer that question that you had about the future. I don't know if many of you know, but a year ago I ran. One of the things I said, my big thing was about the citizens, the senior citizens. And I said that I was going to start looking at affordable housing. So just so you know, we've had a conversation. David, where are you? We are looking into, we own a plot of land on Center Street, and we have started the process to evaluate that land to put in another depot court or Rentham Manor. So that is well on its way. I stood up here a year ago, said that was part of my vision, and that's well on its way. So I just want to let everybody know, I know the select board thinks very, very much about the seniors and how we're going to keep the seniors in this wonderful community. So keep coming to us.
Excuse me. Question. So before somebody gets this, I know we had yours before. No one else? Okay. And then we'll come back to you. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No, that's fine. I don't know, this isn't really a question, it's more of a comment. I live on Taunton Street, and some of the major offenders of speeding down that street are the school buses in the middle of the road. I just want to put that out there. I know they're on a separate contract and all of that, but it's insane how fast they go down Taunton Street. And if anybody's familiar with that street, it's very narrow, no sidewalks, and it's very curvy. Just putting it out there.
Thank you. Okay, so you have another question?
I'll be very brief. I have a question for Sue and for Brian Hall. So I just wanted you to comment on the question I had for Amy, and what would you have done?
So Ken, I know that the town clerk is responsible for making sure that all the residents are kept informed of what's going on with the elections. So I believe that I would have made sure that the voters were prepared for that election and they knew what was going on. But again, I would also contact town clerks to see if they had had that happen before and to see what their procedure was. And then obviously the Secretary of State's office. But also, let's think about the fact that maybe they were unprepared for that, and maybe in the future we should have some policies in place for those items that we are not prepared for, and make sure that we have the procedure in place so that if something does arise during an election period, we already have those policies in place and we know exactly what to do at that point in time.
Thank you. That's a good question for Brian. Mr. Hall, what will be your approach to putting the brakes on Bellingham's exorbitant, fast-paced growth? And before you answer that, let me just make one statement. Mr. Devine says that the board wants to do everything right for the residents. Well, I don't think 10 warehouses were in the residents' plan. So my question to you is, what would you do to control some of this runaway growth?
Well, I think the planning board in the past has sort of operated from a position of tepidness, in my opinion. I think we need people that are more willing to project more of a forceful, pump the brakes to these developers when they come in. It's no secret that developers pay a lot of money through campaign contributions, and I don't think that that's illegal. It's not illegal, but that influence, I believe, is often felt and seen in a lot of these committees and boards. Myself, Mr. Connor, and Sue, let's not kid everyone, we're very independent in that regard. We don't have any endorsements, and I'm sort of proud of that. The residents' voices are powerful when they're heard, and I think we need people on not just the planning board, but on these other boards that really represent the residents. And I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm not beholden to any developers through any campaign contributions, through any politicians or anything of that nature. And that happens not just in Bellingham, it happens everywhere. It's the way the sausage is made, but I don't think we have to stand for it. And I think it's going to take, changes over time, one board member at a time, Steve Goyette, maybe myself, maybe someone else, if it's not me. But I think it's time that we have people in these leadership positions that are willing to push back. In my opinion, we haven't pushed back very hard. I hate to say rubber stamped a lot of things, but we have to follow the bylaws, but there's a point in time where you say to the developer, you know what, I don't think so. This one on Lake Street is a great example. I mean, that's a disaster in the making, if you ask me, as is the NECC thing. So I just think it takes some new people that are unconnected and have the residents, first and foremost in mind.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll let you respond as well.
So my name was brought up, so I think I'll jump in on this one. So first of all, I'm self-funded, okay, so I was offered money from business, and I don't take it. I've never taken money from anybody to run a campaign. I run campaigns out of my own bank account. I try not to spend too much money because, the kids going to college and stuff. That way things, senior going next year. Going back to pushing back on projects. I would invite the candidates to attend planning board meetings because you'll see me pushing back on traffic on Lake Street. And yes, I can talk about things it's a current project, but I can talk about things that I've already said in an open meeting, in a planning board meeting. And the Lake Street and Prospect Street certainly came up, and it could continue to come up on that project. I point to the neighbors down on Blackstone Street. There was a project down there which had a developer come in with 35 townhouses. Well, the planning board pushed back. Guess how many houses or townhouses are approved at this point? 15. We went from 35 townhouses to 15. That's an example of pushing back, okay? I'll give you another example of pushing it back. So Maple Street is a big contention all the time. The planning board back in 2021 sponsored a bylaw change to change industrial zone over to suburban. It went to town meeting, the townspeople came out, and they voted it down. But that was us trying to change Maple Street and actually pull that situation to make it a better situation. So that's an example of us pushing back. I'll give you one more. And this is one that I'm kind of proud of, actually. LMP, okay, the LMP mulch piles. My name is actually on a lawsuit as part of the town of Bellingham, representing Bellingham, along with the other planning board members at the time. So we went to the mulch people and put in an agreement, and it was part of a decision. The decision went in front of land court, and the applicant said, hey, they're being too restrictive here. Okay, that's what the applicant said. And this was back in 2019, but it came up recently. So we went to land court, okay, represented by town council. It wasn't a Phil Devine only, it was the entire board, which means we get represented as a town elected official through the town. We had town council handling it, along with the town offices, and we pushed back. So it came back, we won some, we lost some, and that was in front of the planning board with the scenic roads, which came up just recently. We lost more than we probably gained, okay, but that's an example of us pushing back. So we continue to push back, we represent the town, and we are trying to do the best thing for the town. I believe personally we've got to grow a little bit because our bills go up every single year, just like everybody's home bills go up every year. Well, the town bills go up, the school budget goes up, the select board looks at the different bills that come in, and we got to be able to grow our town a little bit every year. You know, we do have one of the lowest tax rates around for residentials around, which is a great thing. Thank you, select board members that are here. But the planning board does look at these things, and we do try to do what's right for the town. And those are some examples of us pushing back on developers that have come in that we didn't think were right. And that's stuff in the past, and we won't go with stuff in the future, because anything that comes in front of the planning board, we can't weigh in, because we're going to be a situation where we're, I want to say, calling balls and strikes. You know, if they meet the bylaws and they fit into what's going on, then we got to go along with it, or else we end up with in court, in land court. And here's an example, and that came back to us in the last 3 or 4 months, where the applicant came in. It's a scenic road. They're putting in a new fence and all that, and we lost quite a bit. But that's the planning board pushing back. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have a question? No.
I have a question. I believe it was the previous speaker, Mr. French. Is that his name? Running for the planning board. Brian Hall, I'm sorry. When you were just giving your presentation, I might have misinterpreted or just misheard or whatever, but you made reference to money changing hands.
I didn't say money changing hands.
I didn't say that. As you made a reference to some kind of, it sounded to me almost like a bribe. If there was something going on involving people trying to take advantage of everything, we have a right to know. So would you clarify that?
I didn't say that. What I said was developers contribute to campaigns of politicians, and oftentimes those politicians support candidates on boards and committees, and I feel, it's my opinion, that influence can influence those boards. It's not illegal. There's nothing illegal about it. It's been going on for years. Not just in Bellingham. It happens everywhere. But developers don't pay money to campaigns. What do you think they do it for? I mean, they're looking for favorable decisions, influence. They're not just doing it because they like the way people dress.
How often does that happen around here?
How often does what happen?
Who's getting campaign funds or whatever from these people?
It's very easy to look up political donations. There's this website, I think it's what is it, Joyce? OCPF. You can look up the campaign contributions for anybody in any town in the state, and you can see what developers donate to who and how much the money is, et cetera, et cetera. It's nothing new.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, this is directed to Mr. Devine. The warehouse on Maple Street that's just been built. What was your decision? Was you for that? Did you?
So the Maple Street, my name is on that decision. So I signed it, so I agreed with it, so I passed it. Okay, when that came in front of us, the zoning board of appeals. Okay, and it was, by the way, the former selectman who owned the property. Okay, so we knew the process. So they had 2 variances before it even got to us. Number 1 was the detention basins, and number 2 was the fact that they were zoned in 2 different locations. So what happened was that the zoning, they got an appeal that actually went right on the deed. You go to Norfolk County, it says right with the decision that the zoning board made. They made those decisions to take it out of our hands, okay? That those were not things that we could consider, okay? So when you took that out, you had that location, okay? And that location is a situation where if you look right next to it, do you know what's right next to it? It's an asphalt company right next door. You know, so is it zoned correctly? Yep. Did it meet all the criteria? Yep. Is it bringing in revenue when it gets filled? Yeah. It's going to be about $300,000 a year in taxes as an estimate based upon when the thing is full. It's $300,000 that we can apply towards the budget, okay? Yes, we've got traffic there, but that's right on the town border. And yeah, there's some things we probably would have done better with the shrubbing and the colors of the building and a lot of those types of things that maybe lessons learned. Okay, but yeah, I signed that. And to me, that was a project where the applicant came in. They came in with a property that was zoned correctly. It passed all the criteria that we needed to look at. And, you know, you had to do it. Okay, we can't stay right where we are when our bills go up every year. I would rather increase the number of taxpayers this way and that way than pile the tax burden on individual people. Now, the planning board doesn't set the tax rates, but the tax rates for residentials is one of the lowest around. I've got the numbers, if anybody wants to see it after the meeting. So, yes, I believe we need to grow. I would rather grow a little bit than by passing projects that fit the bylaws than be in a situation where we could ask the taxpayers to do 2.5 overrides. And yeah, I voted for the school override. I think I stood up and was the last person at your select board meeting. We had a public hearing and more than willing to pay $40 a quarter for the schools in our town. I did that. And yes, I did vote for the paramedics because paramedics are important. And I definitely agree with that. Our town budget goes up every year, and the only way we can keep the burden off individuals and seniors is to build the tax base this way, which means we got to grow. And that's controversial, but I believe we got to grow. Thank you.
Yeah, we have another question.
Just a quick question. Why is there always a water ban in Bellingham? Because you just said our bill's going to go up, but yet we can't water. Just asking. It seems like every year we do. And you drive by all these new, businesses, and they're all watering all day, every day, but yet we can't water.
My understanding is that the state imposes a water ban on all municipalities from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., May 1st to October, and that is set by the state. Bellingham actually sits on one of the largest aquifers in the region, but we are limited in our pumping capacity based on a number of factors from population and anything else. So we technically could pump water and water all the lawns, but the state limits how much pumping capacity is, and the DPW monitors the water tank across from Leafolk for its pressure. You take the highest point in town because you have to make sure that you have enough water pressure to ensure that the hydrants can put out a fire.
Today's event is a good example of the useful and the very helpful things that the Senior Center does, and kudos to the great staff here. With the younger baby boomers and now the older Gen X people starting to retire, has any thought been given to perhaps expanding the parking lot here because you're sort of a victim of your own success?
Josie should answer that question.
Just put it out there.
That's a Josie answer.
Select people.
No, it's a Josie.
With Representative Soder's help, Senator Roush has put in for an earmark for $100,000 with a minimum of $65,000 going towards expansion of the Bellingham Senior Center parking lot. So if that earmark goes through, it will cost more than $65,000. It probably will cost more than $100,000, but it will go towards the engineering required for us to expand the parking lot. So that is, thank you for asking that question, Emery.
Mr. Devine, may I ask you a question?
Please do.
Okay.
It's a planning board question.
I just want to make sure I have an understanding concerning the warehouses.
Which warehouse?
Both, on Depot Street, that's still empty too, right?
I believe it's not occupied yet.
Okay, and then the one on Maple Street's not occupied yet?
I believe that's true also.
Okay, so did I misunderstand you saying, are they paying taxes
So
on this?
once it's occupied, those would be the tax rates that we would expect. So I don't believe we receive the taxes until after it's fully occupied. So again, landowners come in, and in this case, those landowners came in and presented a project that they wanted to build. And it's the planning board and the other departments, including conservation and all the rest, zoning and the rest of them, to vet these projects. And if they pass, if they meet the criteria, we did. Now, there is the new bylaw in town where there won't be additional warehouses in town.
Which doesn't help our taxes right now.
Which, well, so there's not a lot of land left, I'll say it that way. But right now, you can't put more you can't build more warehouses in town because you can't approve them unless you pull some loopholes, which there are.
I'm very happy about that there's no more warehouses built.
Yeah.
But also, I'd like to ask you questions, which is so irritating, especially to my family who live in Bellingham, that you come off 495 and you see those ugly houses.
Absolutely.
What is happening with that?
Okay, so there is an applicant right now has come in, okay, and there is a proposal in front of the planning board right now. So I can't really weigh in, but I'll tell you that there is a proposal in front of us that one of those sites would be a bank, and the other site, which is across the way, would be an office, medical type, small office type situation. We've asked the applicant that once it gets approved to actually tear those down immediately. It's an eyesore. I agree with you. The applicant's doing what they're doing, and we've asked them that once this gets approved or gets denied or whatever the next step is, that those are handled quickly. So I agree with you. That's not a good site up there.
Okay, but it's not the person that put up those houses, right? He has no input in these things.
So the person who owns the houses right now is the applicant who's coming in front of the planning board. So there's an overlay district that went in about a year ago through town meeting. And basically with the new overlay district that went in a year ago or so, that they've come with a proposal, and the proposal that's in front of us, which I can't weigh in on, but I'll tell you that one's a bank, and because that's public knowledge, and you can go to our website at any time of the town hall and see all the projects. One's a bank, and with the parking lots and stuff, and the other side is a medical type office, small office building that's there. And that's what they went to town meeting a year or two ago, and that's what the overlay district there is for. So, does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you that those are, it's a blight. It's a blight.
I'd like to add to that, Phil. No. Yeah, I do. Bill, can you tell me, people that predisposed to two projects in town publicly on Facebook and social media, what's the impact of that?
Yeah. So the impact. So you don't see me out. You don't see me out making public statements on projects that are currently in front of us, other than repeating what I said in public meetings in front of the planning board. The effect of that is basically, if there's a project that comes up, then they're predisposed. If they come in and say this is a hard no, what that does is basically make it as a predisposed situation where they won't be able to vote on the subject. Now, the current projects that are in front of us, if you miss 2 meetings, you don't get to vote on it anyway. So the scenario that would happen is that one of the projects that's in front of us could withdraw, change what they're doing, and I don't want to mention any particular project, but change what they're doing and come right back. If one of those people who have predisposed themselves on, and I think I'm going to be careful because we're being recorded, if one of those people that is predisposed themselves on the internet, and by the way, the applicants do look at Bellingham internet, what will end up happening is that it'll go to land court. Land court will take away all the mitigation or anything that we have in there and force it back to us and say, this is the project we're approving. So by weighing in before on any project that's in front of the planning board, myself or anybody else, we basically predispose ourselves so that we won't be able to vote going forward on those projects. I think that answers the question.
Thank you.
This is to the town clerks. Is there any plan on removing the machines for voting?
Not currently. A lot of other towns use the same machines that we do, so, and they're very well supported, the companies that we use. So, I mean, it would be something that I would be willing to look into, but I'm comfortable with and if you want to ask the same questions.
Right now, there's a question that these machines can be tapped into. So,
I mean, I can tell you, and it's probably not an answer for right now, but I can tell you the safety precautions that go into it. We do test the machines. We're going to test them, I believe, next week. Is that next week? Next Thursday. So we do 50 test ballots. We send the cards out. The cards come back. We do 50 test ballots. We mark them up. We run them through the machines. They come back. We make sure that they match them. So, I mean, I know that those questions have been in the media. But the cards don't get changed from the time that we test them to the time that the election is. So, you know, I have seen them.
And the machines are not hooked up to the internet? Yeah, they're not.
The machines are not hooked up to the internet.
I'm
comfortable with them. And I would welcome you to come. It's tedious. It's a long day. I would welcome you to come to the testing. Anyone. It's public. We've posted it. So.
What time is that, the testing?
Off the top of my head, I believe it's 10 o'clock on the 22nd, but it is posted on the website. So.
Did you want to give you an opportunity as well?
I just want a clarification, Pastor Barron. Was it the machines that the ballots go through, or is it the ones that you use at check-in?
The Dominion machines, it's already been looked at, that they've been hacked.
So the ones that the ballots go through?
Yes.
Okay, so I do know that they're not on the internet, and as a poll worker, we haven't had any issues that I'm aware of, and I know that any ballots that get kicked out, we count at the end of the evening and add those to the amounts that have come through on the machine tapes. Okay?
I have a question about the warehouse and why we're not collecting taxes on an empty warehouse. If I'm not in my house, I still pay my taxes.
Good point. I don't have an answer for that. That would be the tax assessor that would have to answer that question. We do the project.
I apologize. I'm used to just being out there. So that would be a tax assessor question on that. It's the technical. We evaluate projects that come up from applicants and go from there.
I don't think I'm the only one with that question.
No, just apologize for.
Is it a fact that they're not paying taxes, the landowners?
Is it? Mike, would you like to jump in on that? Because that's really out of my scope.
We are collecting taxes, but I think to Phil's point, the full value of the tax burden on a business is when it is occupied, because they're bringing in added real property. When you outfit an empty building with shelving and wholesale goods for distribution, there is tax on those properties. We get excise tax and other matters.
If there's conveyor belts, if there's any machinery, if there's...
All their upgrades.
All that stuff, all that is taxed. They have leases on those equipment, we collect that. We're collecting property tax now for those empty warehouses.
We could collect more.
Well, yes, but you know what, when you look at the numbers, it's not that big of a difference. You know, it all depends on what they're distributing out of those warehouses as well. If it's coming in and going out, there's no way to assess a tax. They've got to come up with a number. So the real value of the tax is the empty warehouse. And honestly, and I don't want them to remain empty. I don't want them at all. But my point is that right now there's no burden on the town. There's no burden on water. There's no burden on sewer. There's no burden on traffic. None of that. So if they remain empty for 20 years and we're collecting $400,000 a year, so be it. As long as they maintain the grounds, absolutely. Yeah.
Do we have other questions? All right. Well, if there are no further questions, thank everyone for coming out. Let's thank. Oh, thank you. I was just informed there are mail-in ballot applications at the front of the room if you want those. But could we thank the candidates for their time? That you guys will stick around for a little bit if anyone would like to talk to them individually. And again, thank you so much for coming out today.
Nice job.